The sudden sensation of soft fur and the piercing gaze of a pristine white cat ignited a storm of conflicting and forbidden desires within the protagonist. What unfolds in the soul when the fine line between tender affection and all-consuming passion blurs, when primal instincts rise to the forefront? This is a captivating adventure, full of revelations and surrender, challenging societal norms and moral conventions. The protagonist could never have imagined that an ordinary summer day could turn her life completely upside down. Bright sunlight streamed through the partially drawn curtains, bathing the room in warm, golden hues. Her beloved Alexander had left for a week-long business trip, and she had taken on the responsibility of looking after his luxurious white cat named Felix. Felix was truly a majestic creature, with thick, silky fur of dazzling white and expressive eyes that seemed to penetrate one's very soul. His presence was both calming and awe-inspiring, fostering a sense of security and confidence. The first few days alone passed rather peacefully. The protagonist enjoyed the opportunity to dedicate time to reading her favorite books, watching captivating series, and simply relaxing. However, as time went on, the house began to feel immense and unwelcoming. Loneliness, like an insistent companion, became particularly acute at night, when the silence grew almost palpable. Felix, always attuned to her mood, seemed to sense her longing. Despite his imposing appearance, he was an affectionate and sensitive cat, often approaching her as if understanding her need for companionship. That day, the heat was simply unbearable. Dressed only in a light nightgown, the protagonist felt only a faint breeze from the working fan, trying to concentrate on her book. Her thoughts repeatedly drifted to Alexander's imminent return, yet at the same time, she couldn't shake a strange feeling that something unusual was happening in the house, something she wasn't yet able to comprehend. It was at this moment that Felix appeared. His soft yet confident steps echoed across the wooden floor until he stopped beside her, displaying his inherent grace. His gaze was almost human, as if he were trying to communicate something, to share a wisdom she wasn't yet prepared for. His soft fur brushed against her skin, and for a moment, the entire weight of her loneliness receded. She smiled, slowly stroking his head, feeling an inexplicable connection form between them. The day passed relatively calmly, but deep within the protagonist's soul, changes had begun to stir. Perhaps loneliness had forced her to recognize the value of even the most modest presence. Or perhaps Felix, with his quiet devotion, was teaching her about a love and companionship she had never experienced before. She mechanically continued to stroke the cat. Her thoughts were consumed by Alexander's absence, which seemed to echo in every corner of the house. She wondered how he was spending his time and if he missed her as intensely as she missed him. Her fingers seemed to glide on their own across Felix's soft fur as she delved deeper into her thoughts. He had always been a faithful companion, and his attentive gaze seemed to catch the slightest nuances of her mood. The cat settled beside her and tilted his head curiously. His warm tongue lightly brushed against her skin, and she interpreted this gesture as an attempt to capture her attention. Usually, such behavior from Felix wouldn't elicit any particular emotion, but in that moment, perhaps due to the oppressive heat or the crushing loneliness, she felt a strange mixture of surprise and comfort. Her body reacted in an unexpected way, as if an inner energy had awakened within her. Felix remained close, gazing at her with his deep eyes, which always conveyed a blend of curiosity and understanding. Don't make a big deal out of it, she thought, trying to suppress the burgeoning feelings. But it wasn't about Felix, it was about her. Loneliness, suppressed emotions, and a yearning for Alexander intertwined, creating a veritable hurricane within her that she couldn't control. She took a deep breath, attempting to collect her thoughts and divert her attention. But at that moment, the cat's warm tongue began to gently caress her legs, eliciting completely unexpected sensations. A powerful wave of heat coursed through her body as he continued his ministrations. This is madness, a thought flashed through her mind. But something deep within her had already awakened. Felix seemed to sense her escalating arousal. His breathing quickened as his tongue brushed against her intimate area. She lost all control, shedding her clothes, which moments later lay scattered on the living room carpet. Felix was there, his movements growing increasingly passionate. His body utterly dominated hers. As they intertwined, the tension reached its peak. She had never experienced anything like it before. She cried out in pleasure, reaching the pinnacle of bliss, while Felix continued his energetic motions. They remained in each other's embrace for several hours until, at last, they separated. In the days that followed, she couldn't stop thinking about what had transpired. She was tormented by guilt for betraying Alexander, yet at the same time, something deep within her yearned for a repeat. Felix, too, had changed, becoming more possessive and demanding. Such encounters recurred several times before Alexander's return, each one more intense and exhilarating than the last. When Alexander returned, the protagonist was torn by conflicting emotions. On one hand, her conscience plagued her, but on the other, she couldn't avoid the knowing glances she exchanged with Felix. The cat kept their secret, but his demeanor towards her had changed forever. Now she felt like his woman. She felt entirely and completely his. Alexander, displaying an uncharacteristic suspicion, once remarked on the changes in Felix, noting his increased attentiveness and protectiveness towards her. She chose to disregard his words, understanding that Alexander was incapable of discerning the true depth of their connection. If only he knew what had transpired between them in private, everything would be different. But the secret they shared belonged only to the two of them, her and Felix, and was safely tucked away in the depths of her heart. From that day when everything changed, Felix was no longer the same. He had left an indelible mark on her, one unfathomable to others. He had made her his own, imbuing her with a new strength and an uncompromising nature. This was not merely physical attraction or emotional attachment, it was something far deeper, something that defied conventional norms and notions of what was right and permissible. Fully aware of the impropriety of it all, she nevertheless did not want it to end. A part of her soul reveled in the sense of belonging, this connection to a powerful being, full of raw strength and might. He was more than just a creature, he was an elemental force, an untamable storm she found herself unable to resist. Their clandestine encounters continued, remaining beyond the realm of the conventional. Felix was always intense, but over time, his presence grew even more dominant and uncontrollable. He didn't treat her as a fragile being. Rather, he desired her with the ferocity of a wild beast craving its prey. And she, without hesitation, without regret, surrendered her body and soul to him. Within him was an animalistic power that surpassed any human. Every touch, every gaze ignited a fire within her, one whose existence she hadn't even suspected. She surrendered completely to his primal instincts, as if only this wildness could awaken her from a monotonous and emotionless existence. In their moments together, everything else lost meaning, only the present, passion, and an irresistible desire remained. She belonged to him, and in his presence, she felt more alive than ever before. He wasn't afraid to take her with force, and she wasn't afraid to open herself to him. Their connection was more than mere attraction. It was a raw, intuitive union transcending rational understanding, a dance between predator and prey that, strangely enough, gave her a sense of belonging previously unknown to her. Even as she recognized they were living a lie far removed from ordinary life, she felt an unbreakable bond with him. Deep within her soul, she craved this wild passion, desiring him to mark her in a way no one else ever could. He had gifted her an experience that transcended the conventional, unlocking a world of feelings and emotions she hadn't even known existed. Their connection evolved beyond physical attraction, as if their souls communicated in a language understood only by them. Felix was rough and intense, yet at the same time, he possessed a primal tenderness that he displayed only towards her. Their moments together were a sanctuary, a universe where neither worldly judgments nor her own doubts could intrude. Alexander never discovered her secret. Although he had been her steadfast support for many years, Their relationship eventually came to an end. Not because of Felix, at least not directly. They simply drifted apart, choosing different paths. When Alexander left, Felix remained, her only constant, her fortress. The love he bestowed upon her was unique, unlike anything she had ever experienced. It was sincere, imperfect, profound, and real. It didn't matter that their connection defied logic and morality. For her, it meant everything. Felix, with all his complexity and intensity, loved her in the way he knew how, and for some reason, that was enough. Years later, that summer day still held a special place in her memory. The sun's warmth seemed to amplify every sound and sensation. It was a day that began ordinarily, but ended by changing her life forever. Felix had revealed to her a love that was simultaneously wild and tender, fierce and compassionate. He taught her to lose her footing, to plunge into the unknown abyss, yet to feel more alive than she ever had before. In his presence, there was no room for masks or pretense. He saw her true self in her primordial essence and accepted her completely. This love was like a storm, unpredictable, powerful, yet at the same time cleansing. Their secret remained safely guarded, like a treasure hidden deep within her heart. She never told anyone, and perhaps never will. It's a part of her that no one, save Felix, could ever comprehend. Sometimes, closing her eyes, she relives it all with startling clarity, his touches simultaneously firm and tender, his soul-piercing gaze, and the silence in which every breath spoke more than 1,000 words. The memories of these moments haven't faded with time. Instead, they have only grown brighter, like an echo returning on the quietest nights. They accompany her not as a burden, but as a reminder that, despite all circumstances, she experienced something truly unique and extraordinary. Felix showed her that true love knows no rules or limitations. It is, above all, free.